Let me tell you about satellites. What is a satellite? A satellite is an object that orbits Earth. We have two types of satellites. Okay, just that it orbits Earth to do a certain function. What are the examples of satellites? We have the initial satellites, one of them is the moon, of course. And another type is the type that you might see in front of you, which are CubeSats or general artificial satellites that have certain functions. So why do they matter? Probably you've been wondering, all of these things happening around the world, people launching satellites, spending lots of money for them. However, satellites.
Oh, okay, perfect. Satellites are used for different functions. One of them might be GPS, Earth observation, capturing images of Earth, connectivity, and other things. So we'll be diving through the presentation through these things. One of the fun facts is that the first satellite was launched in 1957, which was the beginning of STEM in general. How heavy is a satellite? Satellites range from more than 1,000 kilograms to small CubeSats that are 1 kilogram. As the one that you see in front of you, it's a 10 centimeter cubic satellite, CubeSat. So we have nano satellites, including CubeSats, which are up to 10 kilograms. We have microsatellites that range, and you'll find some differences, honestly, through different resources. People argue that sometimes the small satellites are from 50 to 100, and there are differences between them. But generally, small satellites are until 500 kilograms. Then 500 kilograms to 1,000 is medium satellites, and then we go large satellites, anything above that. In terms of the types of satellites, as I've said earlier, there are communication satellites, where if you watch TV, most probably it's transmitted through a satellite. There is radio and the internet. Navigation satellites, while you came here, most probably you've used Google Maps or any other GPS application. So that's transmitted through satellites. Satellites provide us with signals. And another application of satellites is weather monitoring. So we monitor a specific area almost every time, every day, or it depends on the frequency that we want, but we use it to monitor weather patterns, track storms, and study climate change. Also, we have scientific satellites that get launched for different research applications, and one of them is Hubble Space Telescope, which helped us explore the universe, and military satellites that are used for surveillance and secure communications. In terms of components, we have different components. One of the main subsystems is the electric power subsystem. The electric power subsystem consists of the solar panels, which capture the sunlight, generate energy. There are the DC to DC converters, which facilitate, let's say, the power or the voltages that are generated. And we store the energy into the batteries, and it gets distributed among the rest of the satellites. There is also the communication system, which consists of the antennas and transponders to receive and send signals and communicate with the satellite from Earth. There's also the control systems. Basically, we have different types of control. We have the command and data handling, which happens within the satellite itself. And it consists typically from a computer, just like the phone that you have on your hand. It's similar thing. It consists of microcontrollers, sensors, temperature sensors, current sensors, and other things. And it communicates with the rest of the subsystems. We have the attitude control system, which ensures that the satellite stays into a specific position when doing a specific functionality. For example, if we want to capture an image of a specific location, we have to rotate the satellite to a specific angle or stabilize it in a specific way. There is also the propulsion system. It's used typically not in CubeSats, but in larger satellites. Sometimes they use it in CubeSats to deorbit the CubeSat after a certain period of time, or move it from an orbit to another, or these are the most common applications. Sometimes they use it for stabilization, but depends on the size of the satellite. We also have the thermal control subsystem that ensures that the satellite stays within the temperature ranges, because we do have electronic components within the satellite that withstand a specific temperature. Last but not least, we have the structure and frame. This makes sure that all of the satellite components are put into place together, and it also helps us mount the solar panels on them and reduce the thermal conductivity and these things. In terms of orbits, we have the most common orbit nowadays is the low Earth orbit, where most of the people launch their CubeSats to that orbit. It's from 200 kilometers up to 2,000 kilometers. And we use it for Earth observation, sometimes for communication and connectivity, as you have heard about a lot of common applications like Starlink. They've sent most of their CubeSats to the low Earth orbit. And one of the common applications here in the UAE was the MissionSat, which was a collaboration between AURAC and Khalifa University. There's also the medium Earth orbit, which goes from an altitude of 2,000 kilometers up to 35,786 kilometers. It's used for basically navigation. So GPS satellites are sent at that altitude, and there are the GPS satellite constellations. To be specific, constellation is a group of satellites that are sent together. And there is the geostationary orbit. The geostationary orbit, as its name shows, it's almost stationary for us. So 3 geostationary orbit satellites can cover Earth fully while going orbiting Earth, and we get one orbit every 24 hours. So typically, every 90 minutes, we get an orbit every 90 minutes in LEO. However, compared to geostationary, because it's more than 35,000 kilometers, so it's mostly almost stable. So it gives us a more, contact period with the satellite. Now, in terms of cool uses of satellites, as we've said, we have phone calls, internet services, so anything related to communication, weather forecasting by monitoring Earth, there's navigation, and science and space exploration. Now we are emphasizing also on the same thing, which is connectivity, where that's one of the cool uses that we've recently got due to the easiness of launching CubeSats and satellites. There's safety. Using satellites, we can forecast things in advance. We can get warnings for natural disasters. And the convenience. The easiest example is, of course, GPS. Satellites and STEM in general broadens our knowledge also, and it helps us not just excel in space exploration, advanced technology, but also excel in other fields. So nowadays we've seen a lot of applications that get tested in orbit. We've seen in orbit people trying to do 3D printing in orbit, people sending samples to see whether it withstands the space environment, as well as exploring water on different planets and exoplanetary research. Of course, Hubble Space Telescope is one of the famous examples, and it's an awesome example. We also have GPS satellites that always make our life convenient. And we have the Copernicus program, which helps us monitor Earth. Now, challenges that you can work towards is space junk. I've heard through going around, I've heard about some ideas related to space junk. So space junk is basically old satellites when they finish their satellite time or they get smashed by other satellites, they just stay in orbit. So usually nowadays, as we've seen a lot of people launching CubeSats in orbit or even larger satellites, we have a huge amount of satellites in orbit. So space junk is a serious problem that you can tackle, and we're all tackling it now. the cost. Everyone is challenging each other in terms of reducing the satellite development cost. Years back, satellite development cost millions of dollars. However, nowadays, certain university CubeSats are costing less than $100,000, including launch. And we are trying to make it cheaper and cheaper. Last but not least, a key takeaway is that we are all into this community trying to innovate in the field, whether it's satellite development, advanced technology in general, which will help our communities. So the smaller, smarter satellites would help us to achieve, easier, get access to more opportunities of exploring Earth and exoplanets. And as I mentioned earlier, we have several missions. The UAE have went through several missions. We went for the Mars mission. Now we also had the lunar rover. The UAE is also participating in 2030 in the lunar gateway. There is there is also the Emirates mission to the asteroid belt in 2028, and there is the vision to have the first city on Mars in 2117. So that's a summary of what I've explained earlier. And as you can see, you have a sample CubeSat in front of you. It's a one-to-one size of an actual satellite. Usually we have different phases to build a satellite. One of them is the assembly. The next is the integration, electrical integration, and there is the testing, software testing. We'll open the space for Q&A, and we'll be going on the tables. Before that, do you have any burning questions? معكم أسئلة عادة؟ Okay, interesting. Debris? Okay. There are different technologies used nowadays. People are using robotic arms. So they're trying to send satellites, and several startups are doing that. Others usually nowadays there are certain regulations. A few years ago, the deorbiting regulation was that you have to deorbit your satellite after 25 years. It has to decay. So basically, it goes down in orbit until it goes down to Earth and it burns during the process. However, nowadays the regulation is 5 years. So you have to ensure that the satellite decays within 5 years. Whether you put a propulsion system, and that's a good opportunity for actually startups and companies to work on that, have propulsion systems that help them decay. And now they're doing also monitoring. They're capturing images of specific debris just to make sure that certain satellite launchers try to go away from this specific area that is filled with debris. Yes, there is collisions that happen that would affect, especially if a larger satellite debris is there. So basically, the larger satellite's debris, even 10% of that larger satellite is much larger than a CubeSat, so it might actually destroy it. Yes, and I was in a conference a while ago. Yes, and I was in a conference a while ago, and people were discussing that in certain countries they couldn't do astronomy anymore because of the huge amount of satellites. Yes. Yeah, usually it's aluminum for the structure. For example, the PCBs are from silicon wafers. So you already know approximately what things would you expect. Mostly it's metals that we use on Earth in normal applications. So in that sense, decaying them in space is not easy, using the specific technologies or things. So maybe the best method currently is the robotic arms, or just taking them off in mass and throwing them or deorbiting them. And of course, this is why innovation in the field is required. Yes, exactly. خلينا ننزل للتيبلز discuss things. معك مسألة؟ واضح كل شيء؟ عارفين الكومبوننت زين؟ شو عندكم مسألة؟ شكلكم ما فهمتوا شيء. ولا شو اللي فهمتوه شو اللي ما فهمتوه؟ اعطوني بريف شو الكومبوننتس اللي موجودة قدام؟ او هيك شو السب سيستمز؟ Yes, okay, that's for sure. هذا اسمه PC104 standard. Yeah, it's a standard 90 centimeter times 90 centimeter. Sorry, 90 millimeter times 90 millimeter. و also it includes اللي هو ال specific position مال الكونكتور نفسه. بس can you guess عندنا ثلاث boards. Can you guess each board does what? هذا الستراكشر واضح ما ركزتوا في السيشن. زين هذا الستراكشر، هاي الكاميرا، هاي payload. So البيلود هو أي شيء زيادة غير عن البث الأصلي للساتلايت. ف for example some of them use communication payload. مرات الجي بي اس sometimes is payload. في عندنا شيء اسمه GNSS Global Navigation Satellite Signals. في عندنا البورد اللي تحت مثلا is the CDHS Command and Data Handling System اللي هي يكون فيها usually اللي هو الكنترول للساتلايت كله. في عندنا اللي فوقها is the power system. الباور سيستم طبعا في عندنا اللي هو it takes power from solar panels. بعد الموديل and we started بس the main aim is to have modular system where students يسوون توصيلات. So we're using jumper wires instead of sorry jumper headers instead of the jumper wires. يعني based on the documentations and data sheets they do the integration post electrical integration. وعندنا mechanical assembly that you can see. هذا we do the mechanical assembly piece by piece using the والسبيسرز طبعا الستراكشر نفسه اللي هو الاسمبلي اوف ذا ستراكشر نفسه. وبعدين عندنا طبعا الكودينج بارت اللي هو احنا وي دو ات كرنتلي على كان يو جس شو البلاتفورم اللي نستعملها في الكودينج. انت ما يحتاج انت تعرف اوريدي. انا قلت لكم وين الكمبيوتر فالمفروض انتم تعرفون payload and communication, the top board that you've seen, electric power system, and the command and data handling system, and the structure. These are the main systems that we've used. In addition to that, there is usually the propulsion system sometimes, and there is the thermal system. That's the layout of the kit that you've seen in front of you. So as I've said, usually we put documentation with it, the data sheets, the user manuals, and in both Arabic and English. It depends on the preferences of the learners. We went through the questions phase already, and we'll continue it after the session if you'd like to. Usually the program generally goes from expert-led sessions, then practical implementation of the information. We go through testing modules and assembling subsystems, assembling the whole satellite, and then creating challenges. So if you're interested in gaining more knowledge, we'll be more than glad if you can scan the QR code and also. We will contact you directly. Okay, so this was generally it. I'm Abdullah Salmani, as I said, from Spacepoint. That's our QR code for the website, and we have our social media. يعني if you give us a follow on Instagram, we won't say no يعني and maybe on LinkedIn if you'd like. عفوا الحين شو الحظ؟ دقيقة ما اتفقنا. اه اه شو بعدنا ما حددنا، انتم شطارتكم خلنا. هو usually عندنا 3 options. واحد 1 day، واحد 3 days ندخل في السب سيستمز ان جنرال، واحد ال 8 days اللي يكون فول اور 8 modules. صراحه it depends on the يعني هذا، بس 8 modules، الموديول الواحده from 2 to 3 hours usually. ف we go through اللي هو الانترودكشن لحد الساتلايت اي اي تي، هو assembly integration and testing، هو final qualification before launching it. So we discussed the whole process اللي هو each subsystem, assembling each subsystem, integrating it, testing it, environmental testing، وبعدين launch. Yeah, sure. Okay. خلصنا احنا. Thank you for listening. I wish you successful let's say campaign during the competition itself. إن شاء الله we see you winning it، وبعدين we go to it. لازم تدخل عليهم فوق هذا وانت لا لا طبعا انا اقول للجماعه ترى لا لا انا دائما ناخذ
wanna have a seat? We're gonna start. معاكم وايرلس ماوس رينج تابلت؟ ماوس وايرلس بس يكون رينج تابلت شوية. Everybody, I'm Ahmad Mazmoon, and we're gonna have a glimpse today about pitching things during NASA Space Apps. We will have some tips and tricks during our pitching at NASA Space Apps. Firstly, we have a rapid quiz, so please everyone here scan this QR code with your cell phone. Are you ready? Don't start, just wait for us. So we have our first question. What do you think is the most important element of a successful pitch? You have to rank based on your priority. We have 5 options: problem statement or solution description, impact, target audience, or presentation style. Perfect. Impact, presentation style. Wow. So are you done? Just remember your response. Second question, how confident do you feel about delivering a 60-second pitch? You have to only choose one response. Wow. Neutral. Who's a very unconfident one? Okay, done? Next question. What is the biggest challenge you face when you're creating a pitch? Summarizing the idea clarity or keeping it within the time limit or making it engaging, aligning it with the judging criteria, or handling the questions and answers. So do you know the time limit at the NASA Space App Hackathon? 30 seconds. Wow. Do you know the time limit for the pitching? 5 minutes. Okay. What is the time limit of the pitching during NASA Space Apps? 3 minutes. 5 minutes? We're gonna know. Perfect. So last question. Which part of the pitch do you think would resonate most with NASA Space Apps judges. The innovation of the solution or the problem being addressed or the problem statement, the use of NASA data, or the solution's importance and visibility. Do you know the judging criteria of the hackathon? Judging criteria. One. Okay, perfect. Did you finish? Okay. Thank you for your contribution. Let's back to our presentation. So, hello, I'm Ahmed Mazloum. My background is electrical power engineering. I'm innovation management specialist, focused in innovation management and challenges of the programs and development ecosystem. I was innovation senior expertise and knowledge management at Valeo. Valeo is a French company that focus in manufacturing software parts for the world-class automotive suppliers. And now I'm business development manager at the Global Innovation and Entrepreneurship Company, Saudi Arabia branch. I served a lot of innovators and startups across Middle East and North Africa. And I'm so happy to be with you today. Do you know what is this device? Xerox Alto. Actually, this is the first personal computer in the world. But Xerox is existing now with this approach. Why? Because he didn't communicate this product to the stakeholders. Just imagine if Xerox delivered this or presented this product to the stakeholders and executive committees and their partners. Just imagine what is the future right now going to be exist. We have Apple, Microsoft, Lenovo, have a lot of manufacturers, but we don't have Xerox. Why? Because they didn't deliver or they didn't present this product to the stakeholders. So anybody here knows Google Glasses? It's 2013. Okay, that explains why this product failed. This product was first AR, augmented reality products made by Google, but unfortunately they didn't present this product to the stakeholders or the end user. So now we don't know anything about Google Glasses. Does it mean this product is not applicable product? So we have now, do you know these two products? Okay. Now we have Vision Pro, it's made by Apple, it's AR glasses. And now we have Meta glasses, it's launched a few months ago. It's AR and AI powered glasses. And this product is very well known right now and very booming and very trending because they deliver this project or this product well to the community. They have communicated this product well to the stakeholders, to the end user, to the market. So this product now just started with an idea from Google Glasses, but they didn't success. Why? Does it because it's not applicable or this product wasn't fit enough, or because the communication way or the pitching of the product? Well, do you know Kodak? I know you have listened about Kodak several times because they are not agile enough and they are not existing right now because they focus on the film cameras and they didn't focus on the digital cameras. So do you know that Kodak already invented digital camera? Yes, perfect. First, digital camera was invented by Kodak, but unfortunately, they choose to suppress it, fear of decreasing their film sales, so they didn't presented this product to the market. Just imagine if Kodak presented this product well to the stakeholders and to the market. Just imagine where Kodak will be now. Sony, Canon, Nikon, we have a lot of brands. So conclusion here, it's not about your product. It's not about how much is or how innovative your product. So presenting or pitching your idea is as important as innovation itself. So why do you think your pitch matters, or why your presentation is important? Why do you think the presentation is more is important? Perfect. Anything else? So we are speaking right now inside NASA Space Hackathon. Why do you think presentation is very important in NASA Space Apps? Okay, pitching your idea is the only and the first impression the judges take about your solution and your ideas during the hackathon. So you have to convince and you have to deliver the solution to the judges in within time frame, a specific time frame. So it's very crucial to communicate your solution effectively. And also, we just asked about the time frame or the time duration of the pitching. We have 5 minutes pitching, but only 3 minutes for your presentation and 2 minutes for Q&A. So you have to adjust your presentation or your pitching to 5 minutes maximum. 5 minutes, by the way, is a long duration. It's not short duration. So we will practice today at 60-second pitch. Okay. We asked it before about the judging criteria. What do you think about judging criteria? Okay. Judging criteria during NASA Space App Hackathon, we have to be impactful, the impact, the potential of the solution to address real-world problems. So impact is the first pillar of the judging criteria. Second pillar is creativity. How creative your solution and how creative your idea during innovation approach that you need. Validity, the solution scientifically valid, can it work in real life or not? Last thing is presentation. Presentation is one of the judging criteria that you are get a score during your presentation or during your solution. Okay. Okay. What is our stakeholders during the challenge? Not the stakeholders in your solution, but stakeholders in the challenge. Judges. Perfect. So first one is judges. We need to see our solution to the judges and convince them about this. And also we have potential partners and sponsors we have to focus on. And also end users. We may have scientists with agencies or communities. So you have to clarify your stakeholders and target audience of the presentation. So it's now the time for structuring our presentation. First thing, we have to identify the problem. Do you know NASA Space Asset Challenges, right? You choose a specific challenge from the challenges of this hackathon, right? So first, we have to identify the problem. We have to start with a clear and concise statement of problems that addressing your problem, and you have to make it relatable and urgent. Second thing, you have to focus on your solution. What is the specific solution and you have to align it with the problem that you mentioned before. Third thing, you have to clarify and identify your target audience. Target audience here, whether who gonna be benefit from your solution? Is it industry, government, or public? You have to identify your target audience. And visibility, sure you have mentioned any resources or data or technology you will leverage to make your solution work. And last thing is call to action. What is call to action? Okay, you have to leave the audience with also the asking or inquiring about what is next. You have to ask them, and you have to enforce them to have a specific questions. Okay. Last things, we have to include a lot of visuals in our presentation. If you have a simulation, you have a demo, if you have prototype or working prototype, you have to include it during your presentation. It's very important to us not to tell us about your solution or your idea. Let's have a sprint or a game.